So when you watch, so when you're curious, you remove the barrier from yourself. You clean your lens, you see it right? You're not misrepresenting things. You're asking the right question, right? You remove the barrier from others, and it provides you a gateway, to be able to see how things are. And the end of it, like I said, is wisdom and understanding. When you step back to understand, you gain wisdom, you gain understanding. When you understand what's going on, then you can then begin to interpret. What do they represent? Right? What I see playing here, what do they represent? What do they represent? That's the way interpretation. First way is to understand, then what do they represent? Right? So look at Solomon's story. Two women came with a child, one dead child or one living child. He didn't just rush into deciding. He had first of all understand what's at play, what's going on. Two women. One has a dead child, one has a living child. One mother wants to claim the living child of another, right? Whereas there's also a mother with a living child. You have to understand what's at play. There's a dead child, there's a living child. And nobody wants a dead child. Everybody wants a living child. But then he understood the emotions. And it was then be able to interpret. What they want is a living child. But a living child has more value to the mother of that child than to another mother who just wants a name. Another mother wants a name. The mother of the child, true mother of the child, feels the pain of the child. He could judge between the two mothers because he understood what was going on. Same way you can make good decision in your life, in your family, in your business, if you understand what's going on. If you're curious enough to understand the interplay, then you can begin to understand what's at the stake, what's important to each person, right? And that's what you do in the interpretation. You begin to name the stake, you begin to name the price, right? Epictetus would say, it is not events that disturb people, it is their judgments concerning them. And that's important. I love that. And that's one of the things I'm gaining from mindfulness. Mindfulness is just being able to live in the present, understanding what's going on without judging anything. And that's what you do when you're watchful and you're trying to understand what's going on. You're not making a judgment at that point in time. You're just trying to understand what's going on. Yeah, when it comes to interpretation, you're trying to judge. But first of all, you understand. It's easy to judge when you understand. It's difficult to judge when you don't understand. The Bible will say, make righteous judgment. Righteous judgment is a judgment that is done understanding what is at play. Right? You're not sentimental about your judgment. So the same thing here. You cannot, interpretation comes after understanding, looking at what is at play. Then you can make a righteous judgment. You can then understand the pain of each. Solomon could understand the pain of the mother whose child has died, could understand the pain of the mother whose child is living, but someone else wants to claim a child. So he understood the stake for each mother. So he was then able to do what he did after. But first he had to understand what was happening, and he understood the stake for each mother. Same thing we can do in every circumstance of life. Once we understand what's going on, why are the people then behaving the way they are behaving? What are they protecting? What are they trying to get? That's what you do when you're interpreting, right? What are the people protecting? Some people are protecting their image, their ego, their position, whatever. But after you understand what's going on, you understand what they're trying to protect or what they're trying to gain, right? But that needs to come after you understand what's going on. Interpreting is something we all do, right? All the time. we all get to make judgment. Because that's the way we're created, right? The way our mind is created is when time we see something, we quickly go, what's the reference in my brain? These things are this. And that's what we call the word for it. Uh is unconscious bias is the word. Unconscious bias. Unconscious bias is also reacting, right? That's what we're talking about, responding. Unconscious bias, you always judge things based on the reference in your history reference in your mind. That's a natural thing that occurs each time we see anything. But we need to then call ourselves back to consciousness and say that and not stereotype, because unconscious bias will stereotype. And we're prone to stereotyping because we're human. That's the way the brain works, right? Maturity is correcting that. Is even though this is my unconscious bias, I come back to consciousness and say, because this person has 3 legs doesn't mean that this person is this. I judge the person for who that person is, not my stereotype, right? And that helps in circumstances of life, that you don't stereotype, even though we're unconsciously judging all the time. We need to wake ourselves back to life and say, look at things on the merit on ground, right? That's what Solomon did. He didn't just say because, oh, women with black hair, children die first before women with this hair. No. He understood what was at play. He understood the stakes are there. Then he was able to make a judgment after that. So asking the question, why am I getting emotional, is a good way to figure out what's at stake for you, right? So why am I getting emotional? Why am I getting worked up on this topic, right? Why is this? For someone like me, I usually get worked up when people I grew up a perfectionist, so anything that is not perfect will easily get me worked up. But maybe what they're doing is good enough for them, but it's not good enough for me. Yeah, I'm no more a perfectionist. I'm trying not to be. I'm a recovering perfectionist, but that still plagues me. It's easy for me to see things and are not done rightly. It's easy. That's my unconscious bias. Now I have to wake myself up and say, not everybody's like me. Not everybody will do it the way that I'm doing it. 60% might be good for some people. Even though I'm looking for 100%, 60% might be good. So I have to correct myself so I don't get worked up. I can then become your friend, even though you are not meeting up to my standard. I receive you for who you are, right? I don't, if you're okay with you, I'm not going to die and kill myself. I'll live with you the way that you are. It's easy for me to accept people where they are today. But that's a conscious thing I have to do, because my unconscious bias, as someone that grew up as a perfectionist, is looking for perfection. But that way, I will not have friends. And my last daughter is like me. She doesn't have too many friends. She's deep. There's a high standard to be a friend. In maturity, I have to go beyond that, right? I have to meet you where you are. It just means that you can't be with me on some things. I accept you as you and live with you as you, right? And know where our relationship boundaries are, right? So it's important to understand why you're emotional about some things and then know whether it's worth it or not. 80-20. Does it make a difference? Will that kill me? Is it a fatal flaw? Can I live with it? That's important. If you see the stakes clearly, you'll be able to interpret the situation more skillfully, which is what Solomon did with those 2 women. Many situations are ambiguous and unclear. And it was this canvas of ambiguity that we can project all sorts of ideas, right? But when you watch and understand and look at what is at play, it's easier for you, to decide on the next move. If we've only done a quick, dirty job of observing in the watch stage, we probably don't have all the information we could have about what's really going on. So if we rush through watching, obviously to affect our understanding of the situation and the stake. When we fill the blanks, we sometimes make mountains of molehills by we'll measure in the minor or minor in the major when we don't when we don't sit back and observe, in a non-judgmental way. If you understand, then it's and then place the stakes, it's easier for you to decide the action to take, right? So that's what the Bible says. Wisdom is the principal thing. And in all you're getting, get understanding. Wisdom is the principal thing. And in all you're getting, get understanding. In every circumstance of life, don't rush into it. Don't rush into it. Don't rush into it. Don't check out either. Right? Live in the present. Observe what's going on without judging anything. Just observe. Just take it in. Don't make any judgment. Right? Don't be biased. Take away your bias. Understand what's going on. Understand what's at play. Understand what's important to different people. Right? Understand what's the ego, where the egos are. Understand what people are pursuing. Then it's easier for you then to rob them the way they need to be robbed, so you can get the best result out of that circumstance, right? So just asking question, what is it I'm assuming here, can bring what looks like a mountain closer into line with its molehill reality. Never assume, because when you assume, you make an ass of you and me, right? Never assume. My pastor, my whole church used to say, assumption is the lowest level of knowledge. Don't assume. Look at the circumstance. Be present in the moment. Don't judge. Take away your bias. Take it for what it is. Understand what's at stake. It will help you to be able to relate better, with the people and yourself also, to help you to triumph over situations of life and circumstances of life rather than be defeated by it. I hope that helps you. Next week, we'll look at the next three in the process, which is the selection, the execution, and the reflection. But this first two is where we start from. We need to understand the circumstance around us and understand what is at play. What do I stand to lose? What do I stand to gain? I remember someone sending me an email one Saturday. One of the leaders in my department sent me an, I didn't look at the board. I didn't step back. I didn't step back. I just felt it was insulting me. I just jumped onto my email. And I responded, yes, I won the battle, but I lost the war. I won the battle by replying, but I lost the war. I lost the promotion, you know. Could I have done that better? Oh, yes, I could have. I could have stepped back. I could have let him be with his trouble, and I'll have probably brought more money home for my family, but I lost the money. I won the battle, but I lost the war. We don't have to lose back. We don't have to, we want to win the war of life. We want to win the war in our career. We want to win the war in our marriage. We want to win the war in our ministry. We want to win the war in our business. We want to win the war in church. We want to win the war everywhere we find ourselves. Right? It's not about the battle, it's the war, it's the war, it's the war, it's the war. It's not about the tactics, it's the strategy. It's not about the short term, it's a long term, and the way to win is by stepping back, understanding what's at stake, understanding what's going on before you jump into it. Wisdom is a principal thing. You're getting, get understand it. I hope